Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pronago. We're going to be doing some cool stuff, talking about Cosmonarchy 1v1 maps. It's pretty neat. And also, we're going to do some campaign development. But first and foremost, I wanted to update the map pool. I feel like after Acropolis, we're definitely due a refresh. We had the same Class 1 maps for some time. We also have a lot of maps in general. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes you need to have like categorization or something to make it so that it's a little bit more obvious what's going on. If you just have like 25 maps in a particular folder that says these are the greatest maps that you can play for 1v1, well, that's not a lot of churn, right? Like most map pools don't have more than like 10 maps in them or whatever. So I'm cognizant of that and I'm thinking about that, and we're going to be cycling some stuff out. It's maps that are new to you. That's what they'll be called. They're new to you maps. They're not necessarily new maps, but some of them will be because they were very recently released, and those are all going to be like 1v1 stuff or what have you. So we're going to go ahead and check some of that stuff out. So I see we have Heribdurum, aka Skirmish Badger, we have Luciferius, and we have Adam. Welcome, all you homies. Hope you are all having a wonderful day. We're going to be starting off, as mentioned, with taking a look at some of these. I've already started... Hey, Godwheat, what's going on? I've already started to organize some of these maps, and so I figured I would just go ahead and start the stream live doing this as my first task, and then we'll jump into some Sovereign Saga work afterwards. So... Sovereign Saga will continue in refreshed rate of development. I plan on working on, like I had shift work today. I wanted to work on it some yesterday after my shift, but I couldn't get to it, unfortunately. But every day I want to do at least a little bit of work on Sovereign Saga, or whatever the active campaign project happens to be. Also, I will be announcing a map crap theme for August. And I will be participating with a solo, like a single campaign mission of my own. And so at least one more campaign mission will come in August as well that is unrelated to Sovereign Saga. But I wanted to go ahead and throw that out there. If anybody who is watching, or watching the VOD later, would like to support the initiatives that I'm doing, definitely consider donating via streamlabs.com/pronago. The donations are currently going to be going towards the weekend wages that we plan to run in August, which are these bi-weekly 1v1 tournaments. But if the donations don't come through and don't get crowdfunded, I got to pay it out of my own pocket, which is, I'm not complaining. Hey, it's pretty cool to be able to do that. But that's where, even if you're just trying to support the campaign initiatives or something, technically putting money towards that means that I got more of my own to spare on, you know, bills and stuff. And I don't have to work as hard on shift work outside of Cosmonarchy. Really, the ultimate dream is to just work on Cosmonarchy and whatever other games I want to make in the future. So, thanks for helping me contribute to that, dude. Announcement of an announcement. Yeah, I had a few of those earlier. I was actually doing some casting before I came on to do this. I think I'll probably resume casting on stream a little bit, but I don't know, guys. I mean, one of the major issues is if you look at my replay list, I have so many replays. How am I going to get through all of these replays? I can't possibly get through all of these July replays. I've had to, and if you look at like my Flashback Friday candidates, I've got like a bunch of games from before as well, and just from earlier in the year and stuff. And so it's hard out here, man. It's hard to get all of these replays. So probably gonna have to do some streaming to get through those replays. That's for sure. Okay, so first and foremost, one of the things that I wanted to do was to take all of the 1v1 maps that are in Class 0, which are testing grounds. And I wanted to create a folder that's called Tested Grounds, as you can see. Feel free to suggest funny names for these, by the way, but as long as they kind of get the point across, I think it's good. Tested Grounds are going to be maps that are in Class 0, and they've already gotten their number of games. So we'll say, like, if I can at least take a look at our matches page, and I can scroll over here and see, like, okay, we got Boscafin. Let's see. In recent history, do we have any maps on Boscafin? Well, we have to go all the way back to the 3rd month of the year, I think. Oh, no, I guess it's the other way around, right? Because this is an American style. So on the 3rd of July, we had one game played, and it was 6 minutes. And before that, it was the 28th of June. And so, you know, like scrolling through this, we don't actually have a large number. Oh, I guess it kind of goes back. Oh, no, this is Boscafin Swamp. This is a different map. So when does it just become Boscafin? Or no, is it called Boscafin Swamp the whole way through? I guess so, right? Must be. There's no way it's called Boscophin here, and yeah, it is Boscophin Swamp. Okay. All right, we're saved, boys. So this one actually has taken a good number of testing, and so I might just go ahead and take a perusal of some of these games and see if they were any good. Like there's a hit 'em up game between him and Shopkeeper Dog, TVZ. So I should probably take a look at this game. And maybe this Vilius and Grass Eater game is clearly what's going on here. Is a Vilius Grass game. This is a TVZ between Shambler and Grass Eater on the 14th of June. I don't know. Like, going back that far is maybe a little bit rough. But, yeah, more money means more time. More time means more materials. You're right. Exactly. If you guys want to keep seeing cool, epic stuff for Chaos Monarchy, then you know what to do. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So, yeah, looking at this, I guess this map has been around long enough to maybe get some testing more than I thought. But, yeah, I'm not entirely sure it's qualifying just yet. I think it's pretty close to being tested grounds, but I'd like to see a few more games on it more recently. I guess that's just me being selfish, though. Air Gap 2.0. I actually haven't seen too many on this updated Air Gap, but it kind of looks nice. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little maybe I'm overly partial to cannoli maps or something because I put Monocyte in it as a Class 1 map. And I think it'll stay in Class 1, but I'm not entirely sure yet. But I feel like Air Gap is pretty good. I don't know, like, that's one of those that I feel like is probably, we can put in tested grounds. If you guys want to advocate for any map that you see here, and we'll go and open all of them so that I can sort of remind myself what they all look like. But if you guys see a map here like Air Gap, Godweed's already yelling about it, play on... If a map is getting played even though it's in tested grounds, that means it's pretty good, right? Like, people actually want to try it. And so... this doesn't mean don't play. It just means, like, if you're trying to help out the mappers or whatever, then you don't need to do that anymore. It's already gotten a lot of play. So, yes, that's from my homie Eusifurious. I don't know if you know him. All right, so yeah, I put in fresh flashbacks here. Ariadne's Tempest, Heatsink, John Doggety. These are games that are these are maps that are ported from Starcraft 1, and then I'm going to also add. They're recently ported. There's some maps that just don't have a lot of play. I looked up Spawn of Jupiter, for example, and I got 3 results, I think. Yeah, so that's a map that we don't have a lot of testing on. So, just putting that out there. Humbling River. Yeah, Humbling River's in here. You guys want to see that? I believe it's a port of Winter Solstice, is what the original map was called. But this is a map that we saw Godweed and Biddy play a Scozy versus Protoss on somewhat recently on the channel. So technically that's also a recent addition, along with Full Metal, Omicron Atrium of Man. Let's see. Sylphid's Desire is also one from Biddy that he just sent me. It's not even on the repository yet. Capacitor, Realignment, Gray Market. These are all maps that were added recently. And they've seen some play, partially because they were in the show matches and stuff, I think. But yeah, they probably need a little bit more love. Actually, I'm going to move John Doggety out of that because... so Fresh Flashbacks, this is not me advocating that they don't need more testing. I'm just categorizing what it is. They are recent map ports from StarCraft 1. And by recent, I mean within the last, like, month. John Doggety's older than that. Oneros and Tsunami are StarCraft 2 maps, and I would love to see them get a little bit of testing as well. Apparently, according to Shopkeeper Dog, Origin and Parabellum were like maps that... Or no, it was Parabellum and something else. I can't actually remember what it was. I have to add the C for Arctic Ablution there. That's a funny one. Just this motherfucker just typing file names on my computer. Unbelievable. But yeah, Scratch My Nuts is my scratch pad. So we do have some wackier maps, right? Like, this is probably where I'll go. I don't have a good name for this right now, so feel free to suggest something. But I'm gonna call it like Wacky Mappy. Don't worry, I'll change it. But this is gonna be maps like Spawn of Jupiter. Actually, I just mentioned it. So Spawn of Jupiter is a port of Mercury, and it is just kind of a wacky map, right? You got your natural over here with no real gas, it's just a ridge. You got the space out here that's really hard to hold, but it has a gas and a lot of minerals. Like, this is a wacky map. I have no idea how it plays. It's kind of experimental. There's not even any goddamn cliffs on this map. You can't buy a cliff. You can't buy a ramp. It's wacky. Put it in there. That doesn't mean don't play it. That means play it and then complain about it probably, and then we'll see if it ever goes anywhere. So that's definitely something that I wanted to throw out there. Zygosity is a 3-spawn variant of the same kind of ideas of the bog. I don't know if these would be considered wacky, but these are like, natural comes out, and then where do you take your third might be a wacky question there, right? Because you have to kind of go across this bridge to get here, or you have to go to the top right maybe, or you have to go all the way down here across this bridge or airdrop or whatever down to this base. I think it's kind of cool though. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I consider this a wacky mappy. I think this might just be like slightly off. You know what I mean? Slightly off. Which map makes you want to die? Is that Spawn of Jupiter? Is that what you were responding to? Unconventional? Yeah, what's going on, Ryan? I was thinking like we would probably want a catchy name for like what these maps are as a category. But Zygosity, I think, is actually even more. I think it's a better reflection of the concept. It's a 3-spawn, so that's automatically something that's going to make me more excited. But it has like these very exposed bases out here that I think are super cool because it's probably very spawn dependent. Like if you spawn sharing the bottom part of the map, you don't want to take this. In fact, I mean, under what grounds would you want it? Yeah, I think you're more happy to take it against 12 o'clock. I think if your enemy spawns 12, you're probably okay taking this as your third base. But if your enemy spawns here, you want to go elsewhere. This is a hard sell. You want to go down here to the bottom or something. And so I just think these kinds of things, they're just interesting as concepts. They're kind of neat. So I do want to see them in action for sure. Catching feelings. I don't know about that one. I'm going to call it Beholder's Eye. I think that'll be a good one. Origin's definitely going in there. If you guys don't know about Origin, this is a funky map. You're very close by air, as you can tell. The map is actually a little bit on the larger side, though. It's just ever so slightly larger than a usual map. You got your main, your natural. I guess your third isn't that bad. Like, it's not that out of pocket, right? But it has a very dreamlike quality to it. This is a dog-lived map. I don't know. There's something about this map that I really hope it works somehow. I feel like all of this space out here in the middle probably doesn't. It's hard to see that in this tile set, but all this low ground space probably isn't so good. But there's something about it that I like the audacity behind this map. So I do kind of hope that it shows up. All right. Let's keep looking through these. So we sort of looked at like the bog and Zygosity. I feel like they can probably go in the same folder as Tsunami and Oneros, and these can be like these would be like maps that are ported but they're not quite fresh flashbacks because they're older, but they should probably be given another look or something. But maybe that's not really how I should categorize them. I think the Bog and Zygosity have like workable layouts that are interesting, but they're different than they're a little off meta, but they should work. And I almost want to call it like should work, but I can't call it with periods or whatever, full stops in there. But I don't know what I'm gonna call this one. But this is a folder of like, it's kind of wacky, but it's kind of cool too, you know? Like, try it. You know, like, worth a shot. That's, I don't know, like, there's got to be a catchy way to describe something like that, but for sure it's something that I'm thinking about. So we have Soul Blight. I believe this is a Shambler map. You got main natural third, like fairly stable kind of expansion locations, if you will. You do have this like weird stuff up here. Mineral only neutral bases with the middle with treasury. Funky high ground only base up here at the... there's no ramp to it or anything, so it's just like 3 and 9 o'clock have these island bases you can take. But it's a 4 spawner, right? So like you take main natural third and then you're kind of out. You don't have another spot that you can take very easily. And I'm guessing that this middle area here is probably a little bit too cloistered, too claustrophobic for really big armies to spread. And the bridges are obviously only like the 1 tile wide, right? So probably really hard to move your army in those locations. I actually feel like maybe if this map had more flow on the 12 and 6, it would work a bit better, as well as a little bit more flow in middle. But then you keep these like really tight angles to the 3 and 9. I think that could be pretty good. Either that or you actually make the 12 and 6 into bases, just so that there's something else to take. But you might not need to do that for like expansion count. You can obviously take the other side of the map or whatever. All in all, I'm not sure I can really immediately categorize Soulblight. But I don't imagine it's gotten a lot of testing. Let's go ahead and check that. Oh, we actually had a game on it not that long ago, but it was a pretty quick one. We had a longer game in middle of June. So, all right, Ghost Column. This one's just a wacky mappy, I think. I don't really think you can go very far here, because this is just 4 different. Oh no, that's Delusion. Ghost Column is Nostalgia. It might not be that wacky, I guess. Let's take a refreshed look at it. So we got main and nat, and then I guess the joke is never mind, you don't have a third base. That's the joke. Okay, that's the wacky. You basically don't have a third. Good luck trying to take one of the thirds. The cardinal bases are those. And your natural has no Vespine Geyser. So kind of like Spawn of Jupiter. Okay, wacky mappy, aka Beholder's Eye. Swampside feels weird. Hey, what's up, Hippity Hoppity? Is Swampside even in here? I think it might be a tier 2 map, a class 2 map. All right, let's check out Exodus. I believe this is an adaptation of Nitro Valley, which is an original map. It was a 4-player map made by Knight of the Realm, and I modified it for. I think it was in Ascension 7. I don't think it survived to Acropolis. You'll know because it will have a Liquipedia page, and it doesn't. So that's how you know it's not legit. It's not an Acropolis map. So this is Exodus. Very much reminds me anyway of Nitro Valley, but it doesn't credit it in the. It doesn't reference it in the map description, so maybe not. And I don't know, this kind of feels like it's a little... It isn't derivative of Atacama at all, really, but it kind of reminds me of Atacama, and then I'm like, I wish this was Atacama, so I don't really have an immediately good thing to say about it, I guess, but for sure this is a map that I feel like main natural third, it's kind of like, yeah, it's standard enough, you know? There's a good number of choke points for trying to come into this area, but you don't have a cliff. And sometimes there'll be maps where like your third is on high ground or whatever. You don't have a cliff there, so that's fair enough. Taking your fourth is probably maybe a little bit too easy, arguably. But maybe that's not the case because of the air harassment potential. And these Niduses are weird. The Niduses go to the 3 and 9 islands. I don't know why. Is it for Terran to siege your mineral line in the 4th base? Like, I'm really wondering what that's for. Maybe it's for proxying? So you can, like, send your scribe there, build a pylon, build a lattice? I don't know. Niduses also generate Kagra unless the tiles under here are unbuildable. Which they are not. Yeah, so I guess it's for Zerg to proxy in particular? Or like hide tech or something? I'm not really sure what they're for then. I think the only unit that could possibly do anything here would be like Phalanx. I don't know, this feels like a weird idea. It's not weird enough to be a wacky map where it goes into Beholder's Eye. But it's kind of like Soul Blight in that there's like enough weird about it that I can't really categorize it as a standard map or whatever. So I don't know about that one. Who needs a third anyways? Yeah, true. Phalanx Trolling Central. What's up, Chumbecca? Yeah, I was kind of thinking that. Hey, Beaver. Just make Nidus to connect the mains. Hey, that's a good... Somebody should make a map like that. That's a good idea. So Rage Slave was updated. The most recent update to Rage Slave made it so that this dead center area was high ground. I'm not sure if it's enough to really salvage the map, per se. But I kind of like the idea. I think maybe it also gave you 8 minerals in the mineral only. But I'm not entirely sure if that's true. Rage Slave was... It's an okay map, you know? Like, it's not terrible. But I honestly don't think we need a lot of games on that. Maybe I'm a little bit easy. It's a little bit easier for me to make that statement because Rage Slave is a map that I ported and I did all of the time and effort into it. And I don't like just casting other people's work out that way. But I'm going to go ahead and move it over to Class 2. We have more 3-spawn maps now, so it doesn't really get like elevated on behalf of being a 3-spawn map, which is, to be honest, kind of why it was added to one of the Acropolises that it featured in. So, just saying that out loud. We do have Water Spirit. So Water Spirit is a variant of Battle Spectre, but built around the idea that you could, I believe, yeah, you can have team games where some of them spawn on the island, and that's kind of cute. Water Spirit has actually been played a lot, I believe, but I don't know about its current rendition. I don't know when the last time Water Spirit got updated. I'm going to tentatively put it in tested grounds because I don't think I don't have enough of a statement on it myself yet, but I know it's been played a lot. And I guess I might want to put Boskif in there too, but I don't really know that. I haven't seen any games on it. I've seen Water Spirit at least. Oh. My version of Finite Speed. Oh shit. All right. Oh no, we already went to Soul Blight, so that's not it. So Tsunami, this is a map that has a underwater recolor attempt, which is obviously very audacious. Not available in the map editor. You can't preview it, but it's pretty nifty to think about. This map I feel like could be pretty neat, but ultimately it might end up just kind of feeling a little middle of the road. I think it can lead to pretty cool macro games because of the number of bases that are fairly accessible. It is a Starcraft 2 map port, and that's partially why there are so many bases. All the Templar Archives graphics are actually, I think they're Monuments of Sin. I can click on them to, yeah, they're Monuments of Sin. There are gateways here to truncate the natural choke point, and then I believe they start with depleted shields and like burning health or something. So they don't burn down, obviously they're proto structures, but that's the idea there. So I want to say I've seen this map played, so maybe it should go into tested grounds, but I kind of feel like it needs a few more games, so I think I'm going to hold off on that. I'm gonna say worth a shot on Tsunami, mostly because of the recolor. This is a funny fucking thing to say. It's nothing to really do with the layout. I guess it has some experimental ideas with all the pathing blocking, but it doesn't screw up the map flow at all. It has a pretty wide choke that you can expand out of the main, so I guess that's kind of novel. But yeah, I mean, I look at this and I just think it's worth a shot. I hope people like the recolor. I hope they can tolerate it. Yeah, it's done by Jujic. Okay, so here's Static Gray. This is a map that's a port of... Oh, this is a fresh port. We'll call this one a fresh flashback. I don't really... All right, I'm going to come back to this folder, because I actually feel like maybe fresh flashback isn't that useful of a categorization. This is just like, this is a recent StarCraft 1 remake. How often is that really going to help you out? Not really that often, so we'll probably change that. But for now, I'll go ahead and stuff it in there. Off topic, but have I played with armor pen debuffs? So there's nothing in the game that reduces armor pen right now. Blood Summon do have a mechanic. Obviously nothing's implemented yet, so it's a planned mechanic technically. But they have a mechanic where they ignore all armor, but for every point of armor they ignore, they heal. So it's like, it's not really lifesteal, it's like armor heal drain, however you want to phrase that. So if you're attacking an Ultra Core, you're ignoring all of their armor, but you're healing 3 health every time you attack the Ultra Core. So particular units that have that are like fast attacking units with low damage. So one of the basic occult units, the Apparition, has that. Also, the Apparition cloaks when it takes damage, which is kind of nifty. It's the inverse of like decloak when you attack, like Protoss have. So it's a little neat to play around with stuff like that. So yeah, that's an example of like the units that have that kind of thing. So yeah. So I will think about, you know, I guess I can go ahead and I'll even go ahead and put in my Visual Studio, since I still have it lying around here. I have a little file here. So this is... This is like art. And then what do we have here? We have armor pen debuffs. Hippity hoppity. So that way I will remember it. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. Chantry apparitions. I'm cloaked and I attack forever. Well, no, not really, right? They would decloak on attack and then you'd hit them and then they would recloak. It's pretty funny. It's a jump scare unit. But they only decloak after 2 seconds of not taking damage. So they can keep attacking while they're not taking damage, right? And then you hit them again and they can recloak. Obviously, if you're damaging them, it means that you can see them properly, probably. So, all right. Smoke Show is a port of Sideshow to the Asherworld tile set. I think this actually could be a sleeper hit of a map. And it's not just like... I don't know how good the layout of Sideshow truly was. But porting it to a new map and making a couple of adjustments here and there, I kind of think it's cool. The middle of the map is blocked by some neutral structures. I think they're power generators, if I remember correctly. And so you have to blow open 2 of them to progress, but there's 4 of them there, so you have to invest a little bit more time to fully open the middle of the map. Obviously, the shared bases in the middle is always something that I dig. This is probably under... I'm debating, do I put this under Worth a Shot or Beholder's Eye? Beholder's Eye, by the way, is like wacky. Like this is weird. And then Worth a Shot is like slightly off meta. Maybe it's more on the slightly side. It has a mineral only third base, but that's not that wacky. The whole middle of the map is kind of nifty. I think we might go for something like that as a concept here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in Worth a Shot. Okay, we have Oneros up next. It's technically it's Parabellum if I'm going upwards, but whatever. I clicked on Oneros, so that's up next. My decree. Monocyte, but organ tile to be thumbnail bait. Yeah, island map, but organ tile. I like the idea of it. So Oneros is another port. It's a port of Everdreams from Starcraft 2. Tsunami was a port of Oceanborn. This one was also done by Jujic. And... I look at this map and I think, again, should work. There's nothing about it that immediately stands out to me as like really wacky or anything. This might just go in the like standard play folder or whatever. Okay, Parabellum is a funky map to look at. So your spawns are top right, bottom left, and you have a natural that leads out into that has 2 different choke point angles, right? But when you take your third, you kind of isolate one of your natural approaches. This is depending on how charitable we are, depending on how standard, I guess, the rest of the map feels, which might not be that much looking at it. This is a real interesting map, that's for sure. I think this might be Beholder's Eye. It is a little offbeat, even beyond the initial setup over here with the main and natural. But yeah, I think this one will be Beholder's Eye. I think that one is fair, but I actually really like the ideas. I'm not putting it in there because, oh, that's a wacky map. It's not like Spawn of Jupiter, right? So, there you go. Yeah, I clicked on arrows by mistake. Neo Sepulcher. This is a Starshorn Sepulcher 2-spawn variant, a 4-spawn map that Shambler made a while ago. The thing that I remember I looked at this map earlier today before I went into shift work. I don't like this. This is poopy. This sucks. This is terrible. I hate it. Everything else about the map is pretty cool. That's kind of how I feel. I don't even think it's quite symmetric in what it blocks off, but I guess maybe it is. In terms of tiles, for sure it is. But in terms of actual like collision, I don't think it is. And then it's just really clunky to get your units out of your base, because you'd think, oh, the ramp here from this position isn't that bad. you can just walk down it. But like the Basilica ramp here, this is mostly unwalkable terrain right here, what I have selected. So when you're factoring that in, it's much more like... It's like you have this angle to get your units down in, and that's like, what, 3 tiles or something? Yeah, that is not enough room. That's like 4 Mavericks wide or something like that. You know what I mean? So I really don't like this position. Also, it blocks your vision. If you're going to block pathing here, I would recommend like Sunken Pit or something. That way, it's at least not blocking your vision. You can see over it. This is really, really obnoxious. So that's my take. That's my take right there. I'm going to say Beholders, well, I guess it's not that abnormal, right? When we look at the rest of the map, it's main natural. You get your low ground third base here, and you can navigate into a fourth at 12-6, or you can take a gas base up here, a heavier, like a higher yield base on the high ground. Technically, this feels more vulnerable than this, but you have to move your army further out on the map in order to secure like the 3-9, so I guess that's okay. Middle ground was always pretty interesting on this map, like the high ground in the middle. So, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and put it in. I think it's probably fine to put this in worth a shot. The thing that doesn't make it standard is that thing in the beginning of the natural area. So that's my take right there. Let's go to Lucidity. This is a map by BiddyB. I have seen a number of games on this map, so I think if somebody pushed me to make a decision right now, I would say that this is a fine map. This could go into Class 1. It would be, if it was in Class 2, it would be within the rotation of, like, can cycle back in for tournaments. I don't have anything against this map. I think it's pretty neat. Definitely a lot of, like, interesting containment plays can happen on this map because of the nature of this little, convention hall outside of your natural. But if you can get out onto the map, I think it can lead to some really cool map states. The whole middle ground is pretty neat. I like the chasm usage here. Yeah, some nice things to say about it visually. I think it's a fine map. We'll go ahead and put it into Tested Grounds. Then we have Battle Chamber. I have not seen any games on Battle Chamber. I know that they have happened. I know that they have occurred. But this is a 1v1 version of the 6-player free-for-all map Antechamber that I ported from Anti-Hunters. So it's an adaptation of a port, and it's pretty neat in that respect. Most of the resource layouts are the same. I did ask BiddyB if he wants me to make the changes to the resources. So basically what I'm thinking is one of these 2 bases outside your natural will be a mineral only, probably this one here, and this one will probably be low minerals but still have all the gas. And so because they're pretty much in the same area, it's pretty hard to not have them running, if you know what I mean. Like this is a pretty hard thing. Like if you've taken this, you can probably take this easily enough. That being said, the bridges are obviously going to open up some avenues of some angles of attack. You can also wrap around over here and stuff, but it just feels like they're right next to each other, so it's a little bit hard to justify them both being the same flush base. This is an 8 mineral field expansion up here at 12 o'clock. That's a little wackadoodle. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really about this map that tells me that it wouldn't work. So I'm gonna put it in worth a shot just because it's an interesting premise, taking a free-for-all map and then turning it into a 1v1. It's not quite standard. It has a heavier fluctuation of a heavier concentration of bases. So resource count's pretty high. So there's that for sure. Yeah, Mega Turtle map. That's what I said too. Nebline. Oh shit. You're auto-playing into my stream. Welcome. You totally joined here by desire, and not by force. So we're on. Well, you joined at the same time as I pulled up Axiom, so it must have been something that the universe knew. This is an Axiom 2.0. I'm actually looking around to see if I can identify any changes to the map. I think maybe it's this area over here in the top left. The ramps up, and this pathway was opened, maybe. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's the 3-9? I don't even think there were changes to the neutral bases or anything. This is weird. This is a weird one. I don't really know what changed about it. Nothing non-standard about Axiom. I guess you can argue the minerals in the middle or whatever, but Axiom is just... It's just Cosmonarchy, dude. Wacky map idea Garrison, where there are grandstands, anchors, and 10 centers everywhere. Hell yeah, dude. Okay, we'll go to Arctic Ablution, the Bitty B map. We have the main and natural with a multifaceted approach where you take your third and then you have... Oh man, this map looks really nice, doesn't it? Look at that. Look at that usage of the coastal snow mixed with the water, the dirt water. That's nice. And I mean, this is just... So you obviously have like these weird doodads with sprites, which I don't really condone. But this is flexing, right? Like, I got some dirt, I got some snow. I got some dirt, I got some snow. This just Bitty's just kind of flexing. I like when mappers do that. I do that all the time too. Hey, it's 3Crow. What's going on, dude? There's also obviously some stuff over here. You got like the water and stuff in the middle of that. Yeah, it makes pretty good use of Cosmonarchy tiles, that's for sure. This is going and should work. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be tried. I think that's a more standard style of layout for the resources than Parabellum was. But Parabellum also should work. It's just it's a wackier map, so I put it in the Beholder's Eye one. All right, Aeolus is our last map before we get into the maps. Ooh, well, I mean, this is bait. This is very clearly like, Pernago, look at all of these custom tiles I put in my map. Please add it to the list. And it might just work. So let's actually take a look at this map. I haven't actually seen this map somehow in great detail. Oh, glad to hear it, Kian. Hell yeah, brother. So we have the main, right? And there is no back way into this area, but I obviously see these minerals here, and they are revealed with a map revealer, so that's cool. Down here in the... Dude, there's some class going on here with these tile blends. Very nice. Is this a Bitty B Jujic partnership? Is that what this was? This is Bitty B. Bitty B might have done all the tiling. Okay. Okay, so we have the natural down here. You can take a standard third in the bottom left, a standard third or fourth down here at the, I guess we'll call it 7 o'clock. Yeah, it looks like 7, 6, and 5. And 5 is with the minerals that can be depleted to unlock another base back here. Or you can obviously drop to get down here, basically. That seems to be the argument. Is if you drop down here, this is a pseudo-island. Call up Oasis are forcibly downloading an image of your head of a fusion of Veek 7 and 3 Crow. Of Veek 10 Crow. Find my MySpace, dude. That's a really demented thing to say to somebody if they don't know that that's an emote in our server that 3 Crow uses often. I can find my Gantrathor, asshole. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, every map in this base besides the, top left, bottom right, appear to be a standard map. Oh, there's a double gas over here in the middle-ish. Man, this is such a cool area. Does it have the proper height handling? It does, actually. I mean, you might argue that there should be some more smooth cutoff, but that's fine. Whatever. People will figure that out. Okay. I mean, nothing wrong with this map, honestly. Why hasn't this gotten a lot more testing? What the fuck? That's a beautiful map. What is it? How's it spelled? Slyzor, aka Fast Leader. Oh, there was an AVA on this map where Godwheat lost. Well, that's not surprising. And that was the 16th. Cool. I often catch myself wanting to say "wuck chair" out loud. Guys, we might be autistic. I'm gonna say Ascendant is my. Oh man, that's probably too like positive of a word, but I feel like maps that there's no reason why they shouldn't work. So, like, it's just based on the there's nothing about them other than maybe they're there's nothing about them conceptually, right? So it should be like standard play. That's kind of what I want to do here instead of Ascendant. Yeah, you toasted Lord Dragon, dude. That was fucking good. Acknowledged. Dude, acknowledged as an old meme. So what do we call this then? Standard play. What should be standard play? I kind of want to call them standard bearers, but then people will think there's something about bears. I don't know. The problem also is that we do have some people who don't speak English very well, or at all. And if I just call it standard bearers, they're going to be like, what? Bring me to bear. Bear banners? I'm going to call it standard bearers anyway. Fuck it. Okay, so... I'm going to go ahead and update our handling here. Okay, so I think this is a good way to just describe everything here in the folder. Now, let's go ahead and take fresh flashbacks out. We're not going to have fresh flashbacks be a folder after all, because I'm realizing that we only have this glut of map ports recently, because I was talking about like porting more 3-spawn maps so that we could have more 3-spawn FFA maps, and because I had a bunch of maps that I had to handle as payback to hit him up for a bunch of months where I didn't do any of his maps. So that's why. So that's not going to be a regular occurrence, basically. Ariadne's Tempest is Beholder's Eye for sure. It has the fastest mechanic in the main, and that weird door in the into the like 12.6 area. Or I guess it's like, yeah, it's close enough to call it 12.6. Heatsink, also definitely Beholder's Eye. Heatsink, for those who don't, I'll show Ariadne's Tempest real quick. This map is the fastest map. It's the port of Odyssey. And Heatsink is a port of Death Valley. So, yeah, also another map where you're talking pretty out there, shall we say. Pretty out there for sure. So we're going to put that in there. Colorless Fates port, Static Gray. I feel like it's probably more so in Worth a Shot. Like, the main experimental thing about it is kind of its like general map layout and the egg thing. And so I think it's probably fine to put it in here. Atrium of Man is a 3-spawner. Is there anything particularly weird about it? Probably not. I guess maybe the high ground and like those weird bases and that weird like stacked minerals in the center of 10 mineral fields. I don't know. It doesn't really, nothing about it really immediately stands out as like being particularly odd. I guess it has a lot of airspace or something. We'll put it in Worth a Shot because I don't think it's like, it's not super standard, but it's not super experimental either. Omicron I'm kind of torn on. Atrium of Man, by the way, is a port of Hellbound, I believe it was called. And Omicron is a port of Aeolos. No relation to the Aeolus that Biddy B made. Omicron is a map with a really wide path into it, like, it's really wide over here, and a really wide ramp, and the natural base is, like, behind you, so that's a little bit odd, and maybe makes it so that you might want to drop. This map is pretty experimental, I guess, but I really like the layout. I really like the visual aspect of it. I think it comes together pretty nicely. So I kind of want to put it in... Like, I feel like there's a lot to like about the layout, even if it might not be super standard. I don't know. I guess I'll put it in Beholder's Eye, though, just because it is pretty out there. I think the start area is pretty different, so there is that as well. Oh, I actually have more up-to-date versions of these maps here from BittyB in my DMs. So we're going to go ahead and bring those into here and then pop it open. So we have Full Metal. This is a port of Apocalypse, which is a 3-spawn desert map from Starcraft 1. This one, let's see if we can really identify what's going on here. We got the main. We got the natural. We got kind of an open choke into the third with the high ground over here, serving as a potential fourth with double gas bases, but you know, you can siege it from the low ground and you can attack it from multiple angles. Okay, and then we have the 9 o'clock. I wonder, I mean, I'm not really entirely sure. I guess like the middle is pretty open, but you got these like side passages. Something about this bottom left area feels a little bit wrong, but I guarantee you that's just like proportionality or whatever of 3-spawn maps being kind of weird. This area also feels a little odd. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in worth a shot, I think. I don't think it's so abnormal. It's just a little bit of a funky ground map layout, I think. Now, Humbling River, this is a map that we did see one time between BittyB and Godwheat. So we got main, natural, kind of funky like third, fourth location over here that you can kind of get away with a few different things about, but then there's this mineral only high ground over here. Again, that spawn disparity of like picking your expansion order is going to be pretty neat. Also true of Full Metal. This feels like it would be standard play though. This feels like it wouldn't be that different. Sylphid's Desire. This is an updated version of Frozen Sylphid, which will definitely be cycled out of Class 1. That's another part of this stream, by the way. We get to do some Class 1 stuff there. So we're looking at our 12, our main, natural, and then from here, oh yeah, the big change here is that the mains are on high ground. So you got the high ground mains into the natural expansion of that. The natural expansion was kind of always like that, but there's a high ground with a ramp and stuff, and then we have the natural or the third base over here, which is still low value. And it has a bridge that goes over to the other player from left to right, but it's a choke point, so then you can wrap around it to try to attack the middle. Yeah, that's kind of neat, huh? Okay. I guess this is also another one of those standard play maps. I don't really see a huge difference in how they're all executed. I do want to point out, though, that I think the resource orientation needs some work a little bit. I'm going to put it in standard bears. I don't really see a huge difference here. Capacitor. This is supposed to be the most standard of standard maps. By the way, this is a map port of Radeon by, in StarCraft 1, and it was ported by yours truly. This is probably also a standard bearer. I don't really think that there's anything particularly off meta about it. It's it's really quite boring in StarCraft 1 now, I think. So I'm going to put it right there, standard bearers. Now, Gray Market. On its face, looks like this is Beholder's Eye for sure, right? This is just a wackadoodle map because you got all those trenches. But is it actually that non-standard? And this is like a hypothesis I kind of need to confirm. We got gas-only cardinal bases. We have mineral-only bases besides that. Trenches are pretty nifty. Back alley over here with the like pretty truncated way to move past. Like the guys are actually kind of like blocks off part of the pathways over there too. So it makes these ramps a little bit less helpful, I guess. It's kind of neat. I'm gonna say it's not even that different, but I guess just based on the visual appeal of it, it probably is. It probably looks like a weird map, but I think fundamentally it's not that different. Okay, our last map to review in Class 0, Realignment. This is probably going into standard bearers. I think it's probably a pretty good map. It has some pretty cool, solid foundations. It's basically like a Vermeer, new version of Vermeer, or new version of Polypoid, or new version of Capacitor was Radeon. Like a standard-ish map, with like cool, kind of like cool standard concepts or whatever. It's not that different. It's not that out there. 4-spawn map. I think it's nice. Pretty good. Put it right in standard bears. Kind of an unremarkable ending to our Class 0 review section. So let's go ahead and have ourselves a Danny DeLito on all those files and then post the new ones. And then, just to make sure that we're not doing anything too wild, we have... Hold on. Select all the deletions here. We have 32 changes. And then we have 32 changes here, so we have the same number of maps being synced up. So that is good. I think that's correct. I don't think we didn't delete any maps, that's for sure. Let me just make sure that... Yeah, okay, good. All right, so revise class 0 organization and sort map. It's probably like the main way to do it. And then I guess before, I'm not gonna, we're kind of strapped for time here if I want to do any campaign work. So I think what we're probably going to do about this situation is we'll podcast a little bit about campaign work while I have the layout of Sovereign Saga Map 3 open and do a couple of small changes to it and make a little bit of progress. But we won't do the Class 1 changes in this stream. We'll have to do it another time. Tomorrow I'd like to dev stream and do some balance adjustments for a couple of the things that I want to get done. And we'll do all those live interacting with the community and stuff, so that'll be pretty fun. But that probably won't be an evening stream. That will probably be another time. That'll probably be like in the morning or whatever, before my shift. Because I do have another shift tomorrow. Let's go ahead and say that... Let me know what you guys think about organizing Class 1 by the same token. I kind of feel like if it goes into Class 1, it should just be good for a good quality match. And it shouldn't be that... like, I don't think we need to organize, like, Monocyte into an island map category or anything. I kind of feel like if it's in Class 1, you're good. But we do have 23 maps in here, and that is too many maps, for sure. So we are going to need to make some adjustments there. Maybe the compromise is because we have 50 maps, well, 49 maps, because there's an info file here. We have 49 maps in the Uprising category, or in the Uprising class. We probably should mirror our organization of Class 0, Standard Bearers, Worth a Shot, Beholder's Eye, Tested Grounds, besides Tested Grounds, right? We just have these 3. I think that's fine. And then we mirror that into Class 2. So that if you know, like, a Class 2 map that's listed as Standard Bearers is a standard map, but it's just not in the rotation for whatever reason right now. Like, that would be like all of the Axiom versions. Axiom, Maxium. I guess Maxium is in Class 1 right now. Oh, no, that's Maximus. I think Maxium is not in Class 1 right now, right? Yeah, it's down here. Radium, you know, like, those versions of Axiom, they're fine. They're standard maps. You can have a good time playing Cosmonarchy on them, but that's not what we're doing. You know what I mean? So that, I think, is fine. Like, high-quality maps that worked out well, but they're not in the map pool for some reason. They're going to go into the Standard Bears folder. Anything else? Like, maybe the only thing I could think of, like... So basically what I'm getting at is class is a qualitative measure, but a subcategory within that is a stylistic measure. It's saying what kind of map is this? And I think that's worth having multiple layers of delineation there so that, you know, I kind of want a wacky map. Okay, I'm going to go into Beholder's Eye in Class 2. You know, like, you're increasing the likelihood of some whack. And then if it's Class 3, it just means it's not a very good map. But it still has a category to it. It's a not very good map, but it was trying to be a Standard Bearer map, you know? And so Class 2 will be, as you can see here, it's complete tested battlegrounds, may have been used in premier tournaments in the past. While they are not quite up to par with the current Empire class maps, they're presented for those who seek a more varied arena. I might also add that, like, you may see these, cycle back into tournament play. That might be something that I add to that list. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do about that. Okay. So we are going to go ahead and push this update now to all of you, fine people, on Cosmonarchy's player base. You can now download these updated maps and categorizations. Some of them are new maps, and you can check them out and see what you think. Damn, our weekend wage poll is in. 10 people say Sunday, 8 people say Saturday. That bites. Obviously, 4 people have no preference, so I guess the actual numbers are 14 and 12, but still, that's like that's a pretty heavy amount, and that's just the people who actually responded to the poll. It kind of sucks too because Arbu's Shambler. Jack, I don't know why Jack, he can't participate anyway as far as I know, but maybe he could have if it was Saturday. They answered Saturday. Sausage answered Saturday. Hit him up answered Saturday, but he's not active, so I don't know why he would do that. I guess it's because he can't play logistically on Sundays, but is he, I think maybe that means we have to alternate, but I don't know. We're gonna have to think about that. Tiebreaker on Main Street. Hell yeah, dude. Main Street's so good. Okay, we're good to start talking a little bit about Sovereign Saga. So I'm going to go ahead and get that map opened up. I have to go ahead and pop open VTerran 03. This is VTerran 03. This is the third installment of Sovereign Saga. You may note already that we have the defensive area over here. Your mineral layout is a little bit less fucked up. It's still a little bit messed up. You can see over here, like, this guy kind of pokes out and makes it so that you can't really access him. So I'll probably have to do something like this. But then if I do that, that's kind of ugly too, because then I think maybe I have to do that. That'll be fine. There's still this guy over here that you're gonna wrap all the way around or whatever, but that's it. I took a thorough shower since smelling good makes me better at cosmology. Fuck yeah, dude. Tell all those autistic men on the internet that you have to shower in order to play good at Cosmonarchy. I do actually have a tip in Cosmonarchy's tips that are like, it's something like getting enough exercise and eating a well-balanced diet will definitely help you in your general life, which will, by extension, make you a better Cosmonarchy player. It's something like that. It's just me taking the piss. So this is the third Terran mission, Reborn, in Cosmonarchy's environment. Yes, we have a stockade, an anchor, a couple watchdogs up here. I have, obviously, something that you should note. Obviously, watchdogs are up here. That's because you can build up here in Cosmonarchy. You can't do that in Starcraft 1. I've expanded out this side area, and there's going to be a nice little mineral-only base that you can take. This, by the way, just tells AI where they can place structures. So if you see this in any maps, it's nothing. It's nothing. Down in the back alley over here, there's going to be more bases you can take. This is the Sons of Korhal arrival point. Across this bridge and up this ramp is a side pathway. You guys may or may not remember, this bridge actually, this area does kind of exist, but obviously it looks different because there's no north-facing ramps in StarCraft 1 by default. And so it looks a little bit different, but you can come down here, and when you do, this is obviously a base that, like, the Zerg may decide to take. Right now, there's only this base and this base that the main Zerg can take, and spoiler, there's a second Zerg player. I'm thinking that they're going to really heavily... I'm going to add a base up here at 12 o'clock, but they're going to really heavily saturate their main, and they will expand... I think I'll randomize between these two, and that's important because, like, changing up what the player expects, making them have to scout what's going on. Like, this base isn't as powerful because it doesn't have the geyser, and I think the mineral count is a little bit less in terms of, like, the actual value of the fields. It's the same number of patches, but they might be a little bit less saturated. They might deplete faster is another way to put that. And this base is much easier to defend because it's on high ground, and you can't build big armies and attack this position as easily. But this base, while being easier to attack, is more valuable because of the geyser. And so it'll probably have more mineral fields when I'm done balancing and stress testing stuff. And all of that to say, when they take this base, it's got some value to it, but they're probably going to go one expansion from either of these points, and that will influence their next move. If they take the low ground base, they're probably going to take the high ground base as their third, but or maybe they'll take the 12 o'clock, depending on what that actually looks like, and they'll play a little bit more of like a tech rushy style to try to just overwhelm you with power. But if they take this high ground base, I think that's going to telegraph that they want to take this base in the bottom right, and eventually take this base all the way down here across the bridge, and try to overwhelm you by surrounding you. And they leave this base open for their ally to potentially take, or just for them to take later on. Their ally, on the other hand, is definitely going to try to expand to both low ground positions right next to themselves. And then I'm thinking they're going to try to sneakily take a base back here. Maybe they'll even have a chance to take that as their natural base, because, like, early on, to punish players who aren't scouting, so that they can be like, surprise, I got a base back here. And when they have a base back there, and you attack that base, they're going to defend it, and their ally is also going to defend it. Their ally is going to be like, oh, you thought you could walk up to attack my ally? I'm going to defend you. their base by coming right through these bridges and attacking your front gates. So that is going to lead to a lot of chaos if this is an entrenched position at any point, which you better believe Pronogo is going to design the AI to take this base and then put a bunch of sunkens around. Circuits, right? Circuit, push your fucking mineral only natural, you sorry suck. You decided to play Terran. You played the Terran campaign. Listen, it's a holdout mission, right? So you got to hold out until the Sons of Korhal arrive. I think I will still preserve them just arriving and you getting the victory because you're evacuating, and that's kind of the theme that I want. I want this to feel like the Zerg are demanding you leave your own place. They are pushing you back. But if you're able to somehow take the fight to them, I hope that I can maybe like... I'm kind of thinking that maybe if you defeat one of the Zerg players entirely, or you like kill enough Zerg, or you stabilize your position or something, and then the Sons of Korhal arrive, they arrive not as a evacuation force, but as a backup force. And then the objective turns into you killing the Zerg. And so there's like a different way to play it depending on how you do it. I don't know if that's going to be true. Like, I don't really know how I want to implement that yet, but I want there to be, because for those who don't know, and this is a big focus of the Sovereign Saga, funnily enough, it's at least a notable focus. It's worth pointing out that Sovereign Saga is trying to take old content and reactivate it, refresh it, refurbish it. So if you're new to the idea of Sovereign Saga, I can show you also the second mission. The second mission is an actual conglomeration of the first two Terran maps. So it's not that we skip over the second Terran map, we actually combine it into two maps. So you start off with your, can't believe these Confederates think they can push everybody around, that kind of like, we're being sent to the wasteland, and then you get Raynor, and you see a bunch of dead Zeths, and you're like, oh shit, what happened here? And then you see Raynor, and he's like, howdy boys. And then you got some more Zeths to attack, and then you get your base, and then, you know, it's like, that's a whole thing. People have played this map, they like it, they've raved about it. I'm not tooting my own horn too much here, I'm just factually stating that they like it, okay? The people enjoy this map. So, and I enjoy that they enjoy it. But this map is a fusion of two different maps, because it's sort of like skipping over the one map that you just make 10 Marines and then you win. And it's combining it with the map where you have to destroy the infested command center. And that's what you see up here in the top right, is there's an infested command center. An embraced ministry, actually. So that's what that is. Also, I closed both maps by accident, so I'm going to go ahead and reopen the third one. So we're not removing old content. To the extent that we have like a different map count or whatever, it's probably because we've combined maps that could be combined into a better, superior experience. But there's an unfinished version of map 3 of the holdout mission, Desperate Alliance, that's what this map is called. An unfinished set of triggers, or deactivated triggers that they decided not to do. There's an unused adjutant line where she says that it should be possible to break through the Zerg position and reach Mengsk's forces. And that's actually what this doodad is up here, is a marker for where, I don't know, I think I deleted the locations. Yeah, I didn't bring them over when I made the map. But the doodad up there with the crashed ship is actually the marker for where you would go to link up with Mengsk's dropships if you were able to break open the Zerg position. And you could finish the mission early by going on the offensive. For whatever reason, Blizzard decided not to do that. In Sovereign Saga, I would like to take those little hints or those little unfinished details of like, the map had this potential feature. Another example, Brood War Zerg campaign. In the second mission, where you're destroying the Psi Disruptor, there's supposed to be an opening sequence where you play a micro sequence as Raynor and Terrans. And I do want to reinstate that sequence. There's a bunch of cut dialogue that's still in the map where Raynor's like, all right, up ahead is the first generator. Let's take it down. And then afterwards he's like, good job, guys. The second generator is further up or whatever. And it's something to that effect. And so it's supposed to be like a staged, like sequence of stages. And so we're going to reinstate stuff like that in Sovereign Saga. That's something that I'm committing to, is like restoring this, sort of like how those Halo 1 mods or whatever have like added back in the bestiary from like the animals that never got added, the wildlife that never got added to Halo 1, but was planned in Bungie documentaries, was like explained or whatever. It's kind of like that. I'm going back into like cut contentville and like, oh yeah, let's make sure we add that. So, as a result, that's it. That's what we got. How are I going to actually do the installation mission? So that's obviously up next. The installation mission, listen, The original campaign had micro missions, so Sovereign Saga will also have micro missions. But I think I'm gonna definitely the original version of the Jacobs installation, which is the next mission after this, where Raynor finds the data disk, you could stim Raynor and right-click to the destination, and you would win the map in like a minute. So speedrun strats obviously are kind of boring in that respect. That particular speedrun strat, I don't find it takes a lot of skill. He's got so much health that it's really easy. There's probably like small things that you can do to like optimize your time or whatever, but shrug, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really... That's not very interesting gameplay-wise to me. It's okay if somebody finds a speedrun strat out organically from Sovereign Saga. I'm not going to go back and patch it out or something, but I'm going to make something that's a little bit different than that. I think what I would like to do is to probably make it so like in the original mission, you could access an optional area where Mengs talks about the Zerg. I kind of like the idea that it's still optional because of the idea that like I like the idea of exploring. Like, you explore it. There's going to be people out there, there's a pretty small number of people, but there are going to be people out there who never played the original campaign, and they play Sovereign Saga, and that's their first time playing StarCraft 1's campaign. Like, that's a legit potential person out there. Kind of like the Halo 1 remake just came out, so I'm going to reference Halo 1 again. Which, by the way, the remake does not add any of those cut wildlife or anything. Big missed opportunity, obviously. And by all accounts, it's not very good. But the Halo 1 remake is going to be the first time that people play Halo 1. Some people are only going to be playing the remake. They're not going to have ever played the original. So, and they're not going to have ever played it even on like Windows or whatever, right? They definitely didn't play it on original hardware. So, I say that I bring that up here. I say that up to mention basically that like I don't want to basically make it so that every time you play the Jacobs installation, you guaranteed get that line of dialogue, because that's not really the point. You know what I mean? Like. But I do think Zerg could have a presence in the Jacobs installation that is mandatory. And it could be that the Zerg are actively taking over the planet. Like, the briefing even hints that, like, the Zerg are taking over the planet, but we have to do something real quick against Terrans. For whatever reason, we got to raid this installation. I think it would be pretty nifty if Raynor blows open the installation, sends the place into a panic, he barges in that way. And then, rather than you being directly in the hands of Macro, if instead you activate like security cameras early on, and when you do that, you see that Zerg have started to also enter into the installation from another angle, and there's a full-blown hive cluster, or whatever that I don't know what we would call it, in like this weird in-between Chrysili and Caprulu, but this organ has arrived and is seeding the place. And so you're inside an installation, and you're not the macro player. You're the fucking micro player, buddy. You got a squad. You can maybe get some reinforcements from key locations or whatever. Kind of like the Protoss, I think it's like Into the Darkness or whatever. The Protoss mission with Tassadar, where you can like warp in reinforcements from beacons in a few locations. There might be a few places like that where you can blow open some spots and allow Terran reinforcements in. But bottom line is, you're in deep shit, because that Zerg player is harvesting minerals from inside the installation stockpiles, and that Zerg guy is doing macro. He's teching up. You will see like tier 2 mutalisks flying around inside the Jacobs installation. It's going to be crazy, okay? So that's the kind of thing that I think is worth pointing out, as like, that's how I can make it feel really different. Zerg breaking into the installation. In the original version of the map, once you hit the data disk, you're gone. You win the mission. There's an argument to be made that maybe you should reach the data disk and then have to fight back afterwards, but I think that could probably get you into an awkward state where you don't even know you lost because you took too much damage or whatever. Obviously, there's probably going to be like clerics and stuff to heal you up. Like, we established that the vestry exists in Mission 2, so it's not like we're not going to have healers. So. Hey, what's up, Green Eggs? Kill Raynor instantly if he stims. Is the Sovereign Saga CM lore or just imported adapted Brewer lore? Yeah, it's not lore. That's the thing. It's expressly doesn't care about the lore side of it. We have our own campaign set in our own universe. Like, if you want to check, I don't know if you've already checked all the campaign content out of Hippity, but we have Day of Blood. The first mission of that is like an example of like first party content, if you want to call it that. That is within the Chrysilian sector, which is our version, our setting for Cosmonarchy. It basically takes a shrug approach to like what happened in the original story. So we don't care about it. So we don't confirm or deny whether or not it was real or legit. We're just like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. You know, like you say stuff about like ire and whatnot. Like the Protoss don't know what the fuck that is in Cosmonarchy because maybe this is like thousands of years into the future and they forgot about their homeland, or ignore the fact that obviously there's like a bunch of unreplaced voice lines that reference Ire still, but like, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's still in their folklore or something, but it's not relevant to them because they are nowhere near it. Is TO3 going to be mixed the holdout in the installation mission? No, this is all straight. I was talking about the installation mission part because Ryan was asking about it. That's all. I was just mentioning that it's... we're basically podcasting here because I'm at the end point of my stream. But I just wanted to quickly talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I was thinking about there. So, no, this map is definitely a ways off of being like in a full completed state. But I guess it's not that. I'm maybe overselling it. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, but I'm really bad at marketing. So you guys are going to have to deal with the fact that I'm not very good at like selling out. If you guys want to play this content before it goes live to everybody else, and in doing so, you are technically testing, but you're helping the content be better as a result of your testimony. You get first dibs on it. You get to help shape it in that way. If that sounds interesting to you, donating $12 a month or more on our coffee page is the way to access this content way before other people. I think VTO2, for example, the first mission, the boot camp, didn't, because that was an April Fool's joke, and so I kept that secret for everybody. But VTO2, I think it was in testing for at least a week, maybe more, in terms of how long people had exclusive access to it. And so, I mean, it's cool hype building, because then they could be like, oh my god, that was really cool, guys, you have no idea what's coming next, or whatever, but, you know, it's, that's the kind of shit where, like, people were testing it, they were trying to speedrun and break it and stuff, and it was helpful. So if you want to help it, if you want to get that early access, coffee page, ko-fi.com/cosmonarchy. $12 a month, by the way. You didn't really miss that much because I was busy doing 1v1 map pool updates for most of it, and then I looked at the clock and it was like, oh, in 15 minutes I have to go. So that's why we're podcasting now. Maybe give benefits for the player of future missions to reward exploration installations if such a thing is possible. Yes, we do have access to what I call bank data, where we basically save a bank file and then we reload that in later missions. I've actually been doing that already to track if you helped Ahmed in boot camp. And if you did, then you can help Ahmed in the second mission. But if you don't help Ahmed in the tutorial, you can't help Ahmed ever again. You never see Ahmed again. He's gone. So if you want Ahmed in your campaign, you got to help him in the first mission. If you don't even know what I'm talking about, you just haven't explored the first mission well enough. That's all I can say. I know Flame Vipers basically opened the map and found him in map 2 because he was like, how do I do it? And it is pretty obscure. I am putting in like really weird, bizarre Easter eggs that'll probably take like 5 years before some YouTuber is like, a video essay on the eschatological meaning of Ahmed in Sovereign Saga, Terran campaign. And then somebody will be like, did you know that he's also in the Protoss campaign? Like, so, anyway. Oh, fuck, I gotta go back and find Ahmed. My campaign is ruined already. Fuck. Yeah, I do have it load the saves even in, like, future maps. So, yeah, your campaign is already ruined. Obviously, if you go back and play the boot camp, then it'll just work. Like, nothing prohibits you from going back and helping Ahmed. But you do have to do it in sequence. And I don't think it overwrites. So that's just, I don't know. That's just me. I have that kind of that augury. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty cool mission. The Zerg trying to sort of like constrict around you, surrounding you. The holdout part of the holdout mission is going to be legit. If you're good enough to secure your grounds and potentially mount a comeback, I'll try to read that somehow and make it so that you've initiated the attack and kill the Zerg move. And then the Sons of Korhal will arrive to reinforce you instead of to evacuate you. And I think that'll be a pretty cool moment. Or maybe it'll be optional. I don't really know how to do it, because we don't have like buttons you can click or whatever. Although maybe we'll achieve that soon. I don't know. But I'm not planning on that particular thing being achieved. So I'm just gonna say I'd like for it to be like kind of dynamic in that way. But yeah, the Zerg are definitely going to have some cool moves to absolutely annihilate you. Yes, to bear witness to Ahmed's crusade against the Zerg. You probably will kill over 1,000 units in this map, Green Eggs. You probably will. Rescuable Shaman? Yeah, I like that. Zerg Zethalor. But it's kind of funny, right? Because if you look at the Zerg and you go to Zethicor, oh no, it's Quasilisk, right? And you're like, oh no, the Imicrenia Tendril. If I go to the Imicrenia Tendril, the Quasricore. Well, the Quasricore also has the Enzorthricore. And I'm going to update the... something related to factional stuff is coming for August in general that I am definitely going to be adding Imicrenia units. So stay tuned for that, because that will retroactively apply to Sovereign Saga. That's kind of a cool thing about the content that features factions, but also maybe a bit scary because I might have to rebalance something after the fact for the map. But like map 2 has you fighting against Imicrenia Zerg. They have Quasricores inside of Quasilisk, a factional replacement unit. So if I end up also replacing like the Zeth for that particular thing or something weird happens to the Zeth, then you're going to be fighting them differently, right? But if Sovereign Saga map 3 comes out and you're still fighting Imicrenia Zerg, but I haven't modified any Hydras or anything like that, but then the Imicrenia Hydralisk variant comes out later on, you can go back to Sovereign Saga Mission 3, and now the enemy will be using the new unit. It'll just automatically occur. You don't have to re-download the map or anything. It'll just be because you're playing on a new version. So that's pretty cool, in my opinion. The Zethalor is for the Zorthos, I believe. But it has... Oh, no, it's Arcody, isn't it? No? Yeah, Zethalor is the Arcody. Pretty legit. All right, guys, I got to bounce. I got to take a shower and then go to bed. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll do another dev stream. On that dev stream, I plan to update Class 2 maps in accordance with our new organization from Class 0, and make some adjustments to Class 1 where I'm pulling some maps away and saying, bye-bye maps, it was cool to have you, and solidifying this down to probably like 15 maps. So we're slimming down by 9 maps, or 8 maps, something like that. And then we'll see where we go. I think 15 is a good cap of maps to have. That's like even more generous than I probably need to be. And remember, Class 2 maps might come back for tournaments later. It doesn't mean... this is a cycle. We're cycling maps out. It doesn't mean that the maps are bad. It just means that the maps have had their time in the sun and now new maps are here. So that's what we got there. And then I will also do some more Sovereign Saga work when it comes to my stream tomorrow as well. That will be more during the day before I go into shift work. You can expect it then. And that is what I have for you for now. Peace. Thanks for hanging out.